rest of my brain went somewhere else, you know, just. So, everybody but Gwen. All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you and welcome to our regular meeting tonight, January 27th, 2025. If you'd all like to rise and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and roll and prayer for Councilman Debbie Pennington.
Thank you. Shall we pray? Dear Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the many blessings that you have entrusted in us. Guide us just now to do your will. Help us make the right decisions that is best for our community that we serve. We give you many thanks for our employees, firemen, women, police, servicemen and women here at home and away. Keep them all safe from harm. And all this we pray in your most precious, holy name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, we have a roll call, please.
Councilmember Pennington.
Here.
Councilmember Kraft.
Here.
Councilmember Myers.
Here.
Councilmember Davidson.
Here.
Councilmember Brill. Councilmember Bessel.
Here.
Councilmember Paulus.
Here. Make a motion to excuse Councilwoman Brill. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Are there any agenda modifications for tonight? None, we'll move on. Is there an executive session request tonight?
Yes, there is, Mr. Mayor, to consider the appointment, employment, or compensation of a public employee or official.
All righty. At the same time, we'll also have an executive session for committee assignments after that. So
That would be included in the
Appointment.
basis.
You're gonna do it now?
request for
Okay.
appointments.
Okay, okay.
We'll need a motion for that. So move.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We do
That's roll call. I'm sorry. I look at you and I always say that.
say roll call.
I know, you say it as soon as you do it.
Councilmember Pennington.
Yes.
Councilmember Kraft.
Yes.
Councilmember Myers.
Yes.
Councilmember Davidson.
Yes.
Councilmember Brill. Councilmember Bessel.
Yes.
Councilmember Paulus.
All righty, thank you. Any presentations? None of those tonight. Special citizens' comments. We have one lady, if you'd like to come up here, state your name and your address, because it is recorded. And then you've got about 5 minutes to tell us, explain what you would like to hear.
This won't take very long.
No, that's okay. There is a microphone right there. It is recorded, so please.
Okay. I'm Christine Helton. My address is 6372 Robert E. Lee Drive, and that's in Fairfield. I just have something that I'd like to ask of you all. I'm here today to ask for your help with the Fairfield Income Tax Division. The number of people who are having problems with them is just staggering. This is not a new issue. It's been going on for many years now. The issues seem to be that they claim that people did not file when they did. People did not pay when they did. They lose people's forms when they have turned them in. People who no longer live here, they claim that they owe money, and there's many other things. People are having to miss work to go prove themselves, and even then, there was a small chance that they will leave the office without a minimum of a $150 charge, even when they did the right thing all along. We are to the point where people are taking videos and pictures of themselves filing their taxes, planning to have to defend themselves in the future. People are also bringing their lawn chairs and waiting in line for hours just to get the stamp on the paper, because if you mail it or drop it off, there's a very small chance that they will actually say you did it at all. Please give us a third-party auditor to go out there and listen to people's problems and then go see if those problems are an actual problem or if something is happening there that we can not have these problems. Whatever's going on there will not go away without some kind of intervention. There are some people who will not even live in our city because of the Fairfield Income Tax Division. People are losing valuable time and money and, quite frankly, becoming very, very angry and frustrated with the entire situation. So do you think this would possibly be something that you could do to help us in the city? That's what I had to say.
You had mentioned something about a member of your family. Do you want to elaborate on that, or would you rather not because it is a public forum?
It doesn't, I can. My son is currently having a problem because, in 2019, he turned, 18. And so in 2020, we filed taxes like you're supposed to do. And he had a check, his 1040, the Fairfield income tax form, and the W-2, everything turned in. And the only thing that they said that they ever got was his check. They never said they got the form or anything, but we filed everything. And there's no way to prove that we turned it in when we said we did. So they're trying to charge him an additional $150, even though we did everything right the whole time.
So they didn't have the form, but they had the payment
Yeah,
for the
they
taxes.
had no problem cashing that check, even though he did not have an account. He had never filed city taxes before. They cashed the check, and then they came back just last year and said, we never got your form.
From 2020.
From the 2019, except for when we filed in 2020 for 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to have, I tell you what, would you like to step out and just get some information from her?
Yeah.
Diana's our finance director.
Yeah.
And the tax department rolls up to her.
Okay.
But she would definitely look into that issue for sure.
Mhm.
And then Mr. Timmer, and they'll take that under consideration and get back to you.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if you could get like a third-party person to do like a survey what the problems are, and then go in and see if there's actually problems or if the problem is the people, which could be a possibility.
Yes, we stamp things when you drop things off, they get rubber stamped, or
Yeah.
not rubber stamped, date stamped.
Mhm.
And we've enlarged the overnight drop box to drastically 5 times more than it was, and we've done a lot of things. But I know that for a fact because a lot of times that people call me and
Yeah.
I turn them over to Mr. Timmer, and it goes back down to Diana. But there are a lot of things on Facebook that are just not always true.
For sure.
And when we look into it, and I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying when we look into it, sometimes it's, it just happened to me yesterday morning.
Yeah.
So a high school friend was going at it, and when it was all done, he went, "Oh, well, I didn't know that," and he was all over Facebook. So, I said, why don't you go back on Facebook and then, correct yourself,
Yeah.
But anyway,
Absolutely. Yeah.
we'll take care of it. We'll get at least your son's situation.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yeah.
Mrs. Holcomb, thanks for coming in.
Sure.
I just had to do this for my daughter, I think 2 weeks ago. I got a letter in the mail that she
Yeah.
had not filed, and I dug it up out of the
Yeah.
bins and went over there, and I gave up. The line was so long. I ended up mailing it in, or I think. Is there a method to try to, is it just a mailing thing, or do you have to literally go in and get it stamped? How does that work? Because the line was out the door when I was there.
We have a variety of different ways you can file. I mean, we do have online and e-file, so you can do that. It will allow you to attach documents there. If you want us to complete your taxes, then you do have to come into the building. But if you want to complete them on your own, you can do that. You can submit them online, and you can submit them via email, or, if you don't want to wait in line, you can go in. There's a drop box in the lobby.
Well, the concern with that is that I did the Dropbox for my son's taxes, and they say that they did not receive that form until I brought it into their office for them to stamp it last year to prove that we had filed it, and they said that's the first time they've ever seen it. So if you do the Dropbox, I feel like that's not always, you're not getting that stamp, and that's why people are waiting in line for hours and hours and hours just to get the stamp, because they don't want them to come back and say, we never got it.
Well, if we got the check, obviously we got the form. I mean,
Correct,
They
that's-
usually come together, so.
Correct, they did. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Myers?
No, sir.
Okay, well, yeah, if you don't
Okay.
mind stepping out, just getting some
Thank you, I
information.
appreciate your time, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's no public hearings tonight. If we have approval for the previous minutes of January 13th, there's no comments or additions or deletions, we'll let them stand as read.
Council reports.
Council reports. I just turned that page. I didn't bring the one I had with my hand. I'm sorry, I was on my desk. There we go. Oh, they're not, it's not on here. Council reports. All right. Mr. Davidson?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a specific report. I did just have something I wanted to talk about and kind of bring up to council's attention. I was approached by one of the assistant Butler County prosecutors last week. We were in court and just talking about some things. He started talking to me about cryptocurrency and some of the issues that he's been seeing as a prosecutor and trying to help out. He's actually been helping with the state BCI and working with the state of Ohio on trying to cut down on crypto scams. I was asking him if there was any legislation or anything going on statewide or any local municipalities that have done anything, or what his solution was, or what if he had any suggestions. He said that it's becoming more and more prevalent here in Butler County, that it's been a couple of $1 million have been scammed out, and there's been residents of Butler County that have lost millions. He did look into it and send me a case here in Fairfield it's still under investigation, so he sent me very limited details on it, but it's I think it's over $30,000 that one of our residents was scammed out of. The issue is it's not cryptocurrency, it's no issues with Bitcoin or any type of different currency. It's the ATMs or the little Bitcoin machines that you see in gas stations and see different places, that those have no way to track anything. So some of our elderly residents are getting notices that they need to go and pay a certain amount of crypto to this account. And once it goes into that account, then something will be released, or they won't have this fine against them anymore, or they won't have whatever the scammer is using. Then once it gets into the system, it's a map of different ways that it goes out, and there's no way to trace that money back, and there's nothing to do with it. So he said his suggestion is that we just somehow try to get the ball rolling somewhere to protect our citizens and protect those that don't understand it and don't realize what it is, what's going on, and that there's no way to trace that money once it's put in there, and that they're getting scammed out. He said that just that one case that he was able to find, but he does know there have been ones here in Fairfield, and there's numerous ones that are unreported and that he's not able to do anything on. So I just wanted to bring it to the attention of council and bring it to the attention of Mr. Waterman and Mr. Temmer, and see if we can look into something and see if there's any type of I don't know, open to suggestions and open to some different things that we could maybe do locally, or see if there's anything that we can kind of maybe get out on the forefront of this and help protect our citizens. And I don't know if there's some type of cap limit that we can put on things or whatever we could do, but if there's stuff that we could look into and then just see.
We could definitely put it in our city newsletter as a watch, or keep on the lookout, protect your citizens, whatever.
These are ATM?
Yeah, if you go to the different gas stations, I believe the recent one that happened here, the family had gone in and put money in at one of the vape shops, has a crypto ATM thing in it. So you just go in and put your money into it, and you put which account that you're sending it to on the exchange, and then that one gets taken from another corporation to another corporation and sent all over the place. That's part of the problem too, is what he said, where no legislation's happening, is because so many people just don't understand it, because it's such a complex thing. But it opens up vulnerable citizens to being scammed and losing. There was another couple in Westchester that had just lost $175,000 that they had gone in and put into a crypto machine, and it's gone.
I think this whole thing is somewhat of a new spin on an old scam, in the sense that, they create some form of urgency that you reach out typically by phone or some sort of electronic communication with. Doesn't have to be seniors, of course, they're victims more often probably, but young people can be susceptible as well. And the old scam was, we need you to send a Western Union.
Yeah.
And now it's switched over to, and as you pointed out, the dangers of crypto are there are really no ways to track. I mean, to be honest with you, in the old system, it was, okay, they could maybe catch the person using where the money and tracking the funds and where they went, but that did not necessarily return money to the victims. It maybe helped with stopping and deterring people from doing it, but the regulatory aspects of crypto are just more or less, and I don't know it all that well, to be honest with you, but there's not a great deal of regulation, as you mentioned. These Bitcoin ATMs they're all over the country. I mean, they're everywhere. We have numerous locations in Fairfield where they exist. So, in terms of how they operate, I don't know that I know the full extent of that, and whether or not there's any state efforts to regulate or.
I do know that
federal, but
the state of Vermont has put in legislation, and they capped the limit of daily transactions that can have it so one person can only put in so much money onto one, so that
Right.
way there's more time between it, so they're able to think about what they're doing
Yeah.
and maybe talk to somebody else and
Yeah.
realize that it's a scam.
Yeah, education is a key component, certainly, and for everyone, and one of the things that's the real dangers of these kind of scams is people who become victims are embarrassed by it and they don't want to tell people. So that makes it just exacerbates things, so it can go and go and no one know about it, and, I mean, you know, it's just like anything else. People that you know and care about who might fall victim to this, make sure that you empower them to call you and say, hey, this is happening. Should I do this? I mean, some of the seniors, you know, asking them to run a Bitcoin ATM might be actually over their head. I think they literally keep them on the phone and tell them how to do it.
Yeah.
That's
So,
really-
but anyway, yeah, I mean, we can try to look into what are some options at least, so.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Myers?
The only thing I have is I had one, resident who was interested in, coming in and putting in for one of the boards. And thanks to Alicia and Carol, thanks for the help, because I wasn't familiar enough with the application process that I hadn't done it in quite a while. But there's a background check process to this. And the complaint was when they're filling this out, that they were going to go through their financials to ensure that their finances were okay. They were gonna do a credit review and so forth. And my understanding, Alicia was very kind, that it's a general waiver by this background check company that the city uses, but they do not do a credit check on you. And it's just stated in this legal language. I guess this is from the or the background check company. I don't know if that's something we should consider removing, if we have the option of removing or not.
It's my understanding that that's a standard form that they won't allow us to amend. I think we can try to wrap our heads around maybe advertising it better in what we distribute,
Yeah.
saying, yes, this is included. Here are the 3 things we run. However, this is a standard form. We have to pay for the background check, so we only pay for the 3 specific items. We could probably do a better job indicating what exactly it is we're running, and that way alleviate some fears that we're running more than.
People are,
yeah.
they're exactly what, different, it's not crypto, but from a financial standpoint is you get somebody saying, wow, they're gonna dig into my finances. And it's a volunteer board anyways. And I get the background check for social security and criminal and so forth, but that's my only comment.
Very good.
Thanks, Scott, appreciate it.
Yeah. Mr. Kraft?
Thank you, sir, I have nothing.
Okay.
I do.
Hey, she's always good at the end.
Tickets are still on sale for the next Wine, Women, and Song series on February 7th. And this next one, I read it without my glasses initially, and I thought it said Fairfield Foo Fighters, but it's Fairfield Footlighters. Also good, not quite the Foo Fighters, but they're
That'd
good.
be a good play.
Yeah, we'll be performing 4 shows of Godspell starting on February 21st, and tickets are on sale now. Thank you.
Yeah. I bought tickets to that, and a lot of it's been sold out, so that's pretty cool. I'm happy for that. I was just gonna make a couple of comments. Last night, we had a fire in the city, and the fire department, I'm always amazed. Where's he over there? Oop, there he is. Yeah, you guys did. I'm always amazed at, and listening out to my radio, when you do mutual aid and how everybody does everything the same, and listening to it. Someday I'm going to show up and just stand back and be a fly on the wall and watch, but it is extremely, we had multi-agency life squads, and then we had the public works out there because all the water we put down iced the street, and it was a big slick, and it was just cool. That you guys are just phenomenal, and I appreciate that, passing it on.
Mr. Mayor, may I add one more thing too?
Yeah.
Please, I neglected to mention, Chief Camp, that I've had to call the Life Squad 2 times in my life, and they were both in the last week and a half, both for my parents. And my compliments to our crew. My gosh, they look like young kids to me, but they were so efficient and so professional and treated my parents with such kindness and respect. So thank you.
I at one time, I think it's the same, one of our highest calls for service is lift assist. And I tell people in our community all the time, this is good for people out there now to hear it. You know, if you have an elderly person and they fall, they go, oh, I don't want to bother them just to help me get up. So then she's trying to help him get up and all of that. Where the neat part about the lift assist is while they're there, they take the vitals, they do all this check and background, and they may leave them there after they lift them up and make sure, but that professional check on their, on what may a little scar or a little scratch or a big broken bone or whatever. So appreciate your service and pass that along to those guys. That was phenomenal. It was too cold for me to go out there last night and watch, so.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
I have one other thing, I'm sorry. Are you done?
No, but go ahead.
Oh, go. Apologies.
Oh, no. Well, obviously, with the snow and everything, I'm getting several emails about how good we are and how we are. And of course, the kids say we wish we weren't as good so we get more days off school, but no, great job, Ben, for the guys out there. And then last weekend, I was at the inauguration of President and spent a lot of time, a lot of great conversations with some, not only our governor, but our two senators, Marino and Husted. And then eventually I spent some time with Vivek, who will probably, be running for governor again, or when DeWine doesn't. So Fairfield was represented by another couple people up there and some really good quiet time with those guys. They really like Fairfield, and they always say, well, we always know Fairfield because of that little store back there, that guy's waving back there. Jungle Gyms is always the highlight of every conversation. I was talking to Congressman Jordan, Jim Jordan, which is North Ohio, and right out of his mouth, he said, oh, Jungle Gyms. I go, and a great mayor too, so, but I've known him for a few years and we talked, so thank you, Mr. Jungle Jim. And, but we did have some good time with up there in DC. All right, and that was cold. It was colder than, oh my gosh, it was cold. Yeah, it was the craziest thing. They said that the police officers brought in, I'm gonna think this number right, over 1,000 additional police officers from cities all over. So you saw cruisers from cities and states all over. And they closed off the streets normally 4 or 5 blocks out. They went like 10 or 15 blocks out. So it was a massive undertaking of security and flawless. So, all right, back to you, Tim.
So I have a story to tell. I want to thank Adam. He helped with this a little bit. So today I came home from work, and I typically don't check my emails immediately, but I checked it, and I had an alert from the city of Fairfield for excessive water use. And it's winter, and I'm like, what does that mean? So my son, one of my kids, came over, I guess over the weekend. Yeah, I guess over the weekend, and tried to wash his car. And the spigot was frozen. So, he didn't bother to turn it off. It was just frozen. So today I come home from work and I'm walking down and I say, the hose is just blaring out the backyard.
For 2 days.
And for 2 days. And it's over 2,000 gallons of water.
I love it.
And I get the email that you have excessive water usage. Go check that it's amazing. Amazing. And you're going to let me know if it's off, truly, if that was it or not, but I think it was. You're going to let me know, but it's a great system. If that could text you, it would even be more powerful.
There's an app for that, right?
There's an app for that.
Is there an app? Does it text you? Because I just got the email.
Yeah, there is an app. It's called My Water Advisor.
Okay.
That you can get on your phone. I have it on my phone, and you can set thresholds and alerts yourself that you would get notified even without the billing office intervening. But yeah, that's a testament to the billing office staff.
It's massive.
They get these alerts, but then to follow up with customers within a few hours of these alerts, it's a nice service.
It's superb. So the app will text you that.
The app will notify you if there's an issue.
Thanks for the help on
And
that.
if you have use in the middle of your night, that's probably the biggest one. If it's in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 in the morning, and you have use of that volume, they know something's wrong.
Well,
so
that's what they.
so that's the deal. I know I had somebody say, how do they monitor my toilet? I said, well, they don't really monitor your toilet, but they monitor your usage, which goes to your toilet. He had a toilet in his basement that ran, and they monitor.
It's phenomenal.
He said in the middle of the night, you have usage. Are you always doing something in the middle of the night? No. Well, your toilet downstairs is, so it's phenomenal.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, I think that's a great story, and which son?
The one that's going to get a Mike's Car Wash for Christmas.
And a slap in the back of the head. And probably a bill for about $20.
It is. As
Yeah.
I asked Adam, it's actually, close to 50, so. yeah,
Ooh. All righty. All righty. Now we're ready here for old business, correct? Yep. Let me see here. Yep, and yep. All right. Old business. Community and Public Relations, Councilmember Myers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a simple motion, formal recognition and/or approval of council assignments and appointments dated January 1st, 2025. At this time, I'd like to keep this as tabled for further discussion.
All righty. Yeah, all righty. Number 2, Development Services, Councilmember Davidson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have an ordinance amending ordinance number 166-84, the codified ordinances of Fairfield, Ohio, section 1130.01B2, the city of Fairfield, Ohio zoning map. That's the third reading of this legislation, so at this time I move to adopt.
Second.
Motion is second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
That's all I have.
All right. Public Works, Councilmember Kraft.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a resolution declaring the necessity of repairing sidewalks. This is to include aprons. Legislation to stand as the second reading.
All right.
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, moving to new business.
I'd like to make a motion to read all new business by title only, please.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Development Services.
We have one ordinance tonight for Development Services. The ordinance is to amend the zoning map for the city of Fairfield and set a joint public hearing date. A full presentation by the Development Services staff will accompany the joint public hearing. Thank you.
All righty. Mr. Davidson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have ordinance amending ordinance number 166-84, the codified ordinances of Fairfield, Ohio, section 1130.01B2, the city of Fairfield, Ohio zoning map. That's the first reading. We're setting a joint public hearing date for February 10th, 2025.
All right, so noted. Number 2, Public Utilities, Councilmember Pennington.
I have one ordinance to authorize the city manager to execute a real estate exchange agreement with the city of Hamilton, Ohio, and I'm going to keep that as the first reading. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Timmer, would you like to add anything to that?
Sure. The ordinance is to authorize the city manager to execute a real estate exchange agreement with the city of Hamilton. This real estate agreement specifies that the city may pay Hamilton for reimbursable expenses associated with the property transfers. Thank you.
All right. You're going to let it stand for the first reading?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 3, Finance and Budget, Mr. Timmer.
We have 3 ordinances tonight for finance and budget. The first ordinance is to establish salaries for certain exempt employees of the city. Specifically, this ordinance addresses unclassified positions in the city's finance department. The second and third ordinances are for appropriations. The contractual appropriations total $355,000 and are for 2 projects in public utilities. The non-contractual appropriations total $161,848 and include 5 projects from the Public Utilities and Public Works Department. Thank you.
All righty, thank you, Councilmember Myers, standing in for Councilmember Brill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Walterman, is it okay if I read B and C first? And then, I'm sorry?
You can take those in that order.
I'd like to go with that order, and then we're going to go to executive session on the first one, correct?
No, I think that the first one is for employees of the city. I think there is a possibility that we will make a motion after executive session to
Okay.
amend the agenda.
Okay,
and add
then I
another
will
one.
keep the order
Yeah,
as is. That's my
fine.
confusion. Okay. All right, the first item is an ordinance establishing salaries for certain exempt and salaried employees of the city of Fairfield, Ohio, to repeal ordinance number 118-24 and all amendments thereto, and declaring an emergency. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the second and third readings, please.
Motion second for rule suspension, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Motion to adopt.
Motion second for adoption, comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. The second is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 158-24, entitled an ordinance to make estimated appropriations for the expenses and other expenditures of the city of Fairfield, Ohio, during a period beginning January 1st, 2025, and ending December 31st, 2025. This is a contractual appropriations, $355,000 total. The details are attached, $250,000 real estate exchange and $105,000 contingency funds restored. This time I'd like to make a motion to suspend the second and third readings.
Motion and second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Motion and second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The last item is an ordinance to amend ordinance number 158-24 entitled an ordinance to make estimated appropriations for the expense and other expenditures of the city of Fairfield, Ohio during a period beginning January 1st, 2025 and ending December 31st, 2025. This is non-contractual appropriations for $161,848 total. This time I'd like to make a motion to suspend the second and third readings.
Second.
Motion and second for rule suspension. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. Motion to adopt.
Second.
Second for adoption. Comments from audience? Comments from council? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Let me see here. We'll now move into executive session.
And as we do that, I will point out that we may have business to return to the regular meeting after executive session.
And we're going to do that back here.
We will come back here if
Okay.
we do that.
Okay. Cool. All right. You're in good shape. We're done.
You're all right.